It's reckless, but the BMA said that it's NHS England who is risking lives. Do you support all of this action or not? And a simple question for you. Do you think that we should have digital ID in the UK? And MPs are asking the government to conduct an urgent review of the council tax system. Do you think this is a review that is long overdue? Well, we've got all of that and lots more alongside me. My panel tonight, I've got Alan Miller, the co-founder of the Together Association, and Sebastian Selleck, the Labour commentator. But before we get stuck in, let's cross live and give you your 6 o'clock news headlines.
Good evening, it's 1 minute past 6. I'm Katie Bowen in the GB newsroom. Essex Police has denied it bussed counter-demonstrators to and from a protest outside a hotel housing asylum seekers last week. The force said it did escort some people away from the Bell Hotel in Epping for their own safety, but any claims about the deliberate use of counter-protesters are categorically wrong. A series of demonstrations have taken place outside the hotel in Epping after an asylum seeker was charged with sexual assault earlier this month. He has denied those allegations. 10 anti-migrant protesters have been arrested on charges of disorder following scenes police have described as mindless thuggery. 2 former market traders who were jailed for rigging interest rates have had their convictions overturned. Former Citigroup and UBS trader Tom Hayes spent more than 5 years in jail after becoming the first person in the world to be convicted of manipulating LIBOR in 2015. Carlo Palombo, an ex-Barclays trader, was jailed in 2019 for a similar offence. He's also had his conviction quashed. The Supreme Court ruled that there was ample evidence for a jury to convict both men had it been properly directed by the judge, but it had not, therefore undermining the fairness of the trial. 2 children and a woman have died in a shooting in County Fermanagh, police in Northern Ireland have confirmed. All 4 people are members of the same family, police said. Superintendent Robert McGowan confirmed all 4 suffered gunshot wounds. Officers remain at the scene, which has been cordoned off. The Israeli aid system is inhumane, ineffective, dangerous and fuelling instability. Those were the words of the UK's ambassador to the UN, Dame Barbara Woodward. President Trump spoke to Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, about the deteriorating humanitarian situation in Gaza. It comes as more than 100 aid agencies, including Oxfam and Save the Children, have issued a joint statement warning that mass starvation is spreading across Gaza, despite Israeli denials. Israel has dismissed reports of numerous Palestinian deaths from malnutrition as propaganda. A UN Security Council meeting has taken place this afternoon on the situation in the Middle East. And the King and Queen attended the annual Sandringham Flower Show today, viewing winners in flower arranging, vegetable produce and baking. The show has been held for the past 142 years on the King's Norfolk retreat. The Sandringham Flower Show, organised by some 15 to 20 local volunteers, sees about 20,000 people visit annually. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now let's go back to Michelle.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you very much for that. And hello, good evening to each and every single one of you. I am Michelle Dewberry. This is Dewbs & Co, keeping you company till 7. Alongside me, my panel, I've got Alan Miller, the co-founder of the Together Association, and Sebastian Selleck, the Labour commentator. You're a new face, so welcome to you.
Thank you.
And we've not seen you for ages.
No, I'm an old face.
You're very welcome back, yes. And hello to all of you at home. What's on your mind tonight, ladies and gents? There's been so much going on. You can join the conversation in all the usual ways. You can email me, gbviews@gbnews.com. You can go to the website gbnews.com/yoursay, or of course you can tweet or you can X me. Now, we've all seen what has been unfolding outside of not just one hotel now, multiple hotels that have been earmarked for asylum seekers. Well, I just want to take you over to Essex because the Chief Constable of Essex Police, he's given quite a long, lengthy press conference this afternoon. Let's just take a listen to what he had to say.
I want to thank the people of Essex. I also want to thank all those who have turned up to protest and express their views peacefully and lawfully, because there have been many of those. I've seen the pictures. I've read the commentaries in the newspapers that have been made to many of you about people who feel firmly about an issue that concerns them and have expressed that well, peacefully, to make their views properly known. What has been unacceptable has been the people who have come to Epping and committed violence, who have attacked people who work at the hotel, who have attacked officers, who have damaged property, and who have caused fear and disruption to the people of Epping. That is not tolerable. It will not be tolerated. And to that end, we have made 10 arrests. A number of those people have been charged. A number of those people have been remanded in custody for serious offences.
Well, I've got to tell you that that chap himself, he's come under the line of focus today because people like Nigel Farage, they're actually calling for that fellow's resignation. They're suggesting that actually these counter-protesters were somehow bussed in to that protest. That is a claim that the police force actually deny, though they did go on to say that actually they had apparently bussed some people out. Let's cross over to our home and security editor, Mark White, to help us understand and unpick what on earth has been going on. Mark White, over to you. Hello.
Good evening. Yes, the reason that Nigel Farage has called for BJ Harrington to resign is that he believes his position is untenable because of the command decisions that were taken by those police commanders on the day last week when the protests were taking place outside the Bell Hotel in Epping. Remember, of course, the protests were as a result of an asylum seeker at that hotel having been arrested and subsequently charged with alleged sexual offences against young girls, something that he denies, but of course it's going through the court process. But a lot of concerned and angry people in that community. There was already a significant protest, a potentially volatile and angry protest outside the Bell Hotel. But on that day, commanders from Essex Police allowed a counter-protest with these self-styled anti-fascist, far-left protests to come and effectively escorted them. They've described it as monitoring them. But look at the pictures, judge for yourself. That's escorting them right up to the heart of where that other protest was taking place. Now, the Chief Constable says, of course, what they always try to do is to facilitate lawful protest. And that's absolutely right. Freedom to protest is a fundamental right, but it's not an absolute right. And if there is a risk of significant violent disorder, then the police can put conditions on a protest group. They do it all the time in London. The Metropolitan Police will impose conditions on a certain protest group, stop them going down Whitehall, for instance, going to a certain location, and they will only allow two groups, opposing groups of protesters, to be anywhere near each other if they know they've got significant numbers of police officers to be able to keep the two opposing sides apart. That clearly didn't happen in this instance. A commander made the decision to allow these counter-protesters to go to where this other protest was taking place. But very quickly, when the situation really deteriorated into violent disorder, it's clear there were not enough resources there to keep both sides apart. So they ended up taking them out by busing these police vans we can see here, taking them back out at a rate of knots, getting them out of harm's way. And the optics of that look absolutely terrible when you've got communities that at the moment are often quite distrustful of the police, talk of two-tier policing and a belief that they favour one side over another. Well, this does nothing but cement that belief amongst many when they see this. And BJ Harrington, when he was asked repeatedly about whether decisions could have been made in another way, whether they could have kept the two sides further apart, just said he couldn't comment on this. Well, if the Chief Constable of the force responsible for making those decisions believes it's not his position to comment, I'm not sure whose position it is, Michelle.
Absolute mess. And help us understand something, Mark White. So when you were just talking then, you're absolutely right. We were showing the protests, the protesters that were getting escorted by the police officers. Now, a number of them had their faces fully concealed, whether that was scarves or whatever, hoods, you name it. You couldn't see their faces. Many people have been asking, is that legal to do that? Are you able to rock up to a protest, irrespective of who you are and what side you're on, all the rest of it, and conceal your identity in that way? Like, look at that lunatic there with the blue scarf or whatever it is, the sunglasses, the cap. Are you allowed to do that?
Well, that's a very good point. And under law changes, actually, after lots of disorder a couple of years back, it's now a power that the police have under the Public Order Act to order people, if they impose that particular condition, amongst the conditions they can impose, such as you can't get within a mile or so of the other protest, they can also order people to remove those coverings. But it's clear, you know, that those counter-protesters, as well as, of course, some of those who were taking part in the main protest outside the hotel, had their faces covered. There are agitators that were there on both sides. But for this particular cell-styled group of so-called anti-racists, what they do is it's organised protest. At any time there is a protest that may be a protest against asylum-seeking hotels, they will move, mobilise, get there, and their sort of function, if you like, is to confront, is to shout at those other protesters, shout them down, call them racist, call them Nazi scum, whatever it is. But it does nothing other than, of course, just elevate the tensions around a protest. Now, that's all fine and can absolutely form, as we say, part and parcel of protest, vociferous but lawful protest. But if you don't have the police resources to actually manage both sides and keep them apart, why on earth are you making command decisions to bring that other group into the main body of protesters, knowing that it's going to really up the ante and just stoke the tensions even further?
And in case you're listening on the radio, we just ended that piece there with some pictures of the protesters, mums basically, with cardboard signs, I guess you'd call them. I'm not far right. I'm worried about my kids. Make Epping safe again. That's their request. Let our children just be safe. Mark White, before I go, actually, very quickly, what's going on in Canary Wharf?
Well, Canary Wharf, you remember, of course, there were the rumours yesterday that actually those in the Epping Hotel, the Bell Hotel in Epping, were going to be moved out of there and into Canary Wharf because of this planned protest at the weekend. We're told that that's absolutely not the case. They're staying put in the Bell Hotel in Epping. But Canary Wharf has been requisitioned by the Home Office at a very significant price, £81 per room, 400 rooms, £32,000 per week is the cost, per night, I think, actually, is the cost. It's a very significant cost, and it's there as a contingency for the summer surge that we're about to see across the channel, when at times 1,000 a day will cross, and it gets all clogged up at Manston, the main processing centre. They need to then get them out to bigger locations like this Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf. So that's why that's been bought over, but highly controversial as well. It's a big hotel right in the heart of the banking district there that's important to the fabric and that banking community and the people around there.
Mark White, Home and Security Editor, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed with the day's goings on. Right, a quick response from both of you, and I'm going to get this into this a bit more after the break. But Alan, your thoughts?
Well, people are very right to be worried about two-tier policing and judiciary. I believe in the right for everyone to protest, but there's judgment, particularly in command and control. I find it highly ironic that this particular chief is talking about free speech, seeing as they've got one of the highest rates of arrests for the Online Safety Act, 1,530 people in the last 18 months, as well as one of the lowest success rates on crime. He's talking now, he's under pressure about free speech and the rights for people to protest. We've seen that some women have been arrested for protesting silently for prayer outside places. The police have got an ability to coordinate so it doesn't create a huge situation. And the public is furious that it seems like some people are treated differently to others. He's also made the point that he's a champion for LGBTQ+ and trans rights, but then he says, I'm not political because we're the police. Well, which one is it? And the public's fed up with being treated that some people's views around things like hotels and migrants and borders and integration are treated in one way, and other people who come in masks or break statues or attack people are treated in another way. It's just not acceptable.
Sebastian, your thoughts?
Very concerned about some of the characters who are turning up to this protest. We're seeing reports in some of the papers that there are members of far-right groups, of neo-Nazi groups. We're also seeing violence break out as well. Completely legitimate to protest.
Yeah, but hold on. Aren't you then concerned about people coming up from Antifa as well, then?
Well, I haven't seen that substantiated anywhere. If that's true, then yes. But
so have you seen the far-right people turning up, then?
I've seen those reported in the papers. I haven't seen the Antifa report in the papers. That's a claim that Nigel Farage has made, and I haven't seen it anywhere else. Very happy to be corrected, but it wasn't something I saw. The issue is, if you're coming to protest legitimately, which you can do, sexual assault is a terrible thing, you're right to be able to protest against it, be careful about who you share a platform with, because there seem to be some very unsavory
Well, who are the
characters
people
there.
turning up with balaclavas that are being chaperoned by the police? And why did the police tell us that they didn't do it firstly? No wonder the public's got no trust. But they are not people that you're saying from the far right. Surely they're coming to be counter-protesters, countering what the locals are doing with their concerns. They think they're racist. They've got a democratic right to do so. But that's not the far right. Surely, that's obviously Antifa and the people who are uniting against
racism. Look at him. Who is that guy on the screen that's got the blue, I don't know what it is, a scarf or whatever you want to call it, I don't care what it is. He's covering his face up. Why are you walking down that street in the middle of that day, escorted by police officers? You are up to, I would suggest, potential no good. Otherwise, why are you concealing your face? Don't you feel concerned about that when you see that, Sebastian?
Potential no good, maybe. We don't know what he's done yet, but what we do know is that a neo-Nazi group is handing out leaflets at this protest, which is incredibly
What neo-Nazi group?
It's called White Vanguard.
Right.
And it's been handing out leaflets. It's been reported in the press, saying, frankly, quite racist things.
I've got to just say, this just epitomises the debate and discussion. You've got locals who are legitimately concerned with issues and their children, and then you have a situation where the police tell us they haven't chaperoned people in. I think they should escort people in a democratic society, but not bring them right up to the actual protest. Then we're told, you're saying that the mainstream press is saying they want to talk about far right. Everyone, Sebastian, is far right now, according to the press. If you've got a concern about hotels and migrants, but they themselves say, Unite Against Racism, the woman in the yellow shirt, they are representatives of an organisation. When you say you don't know who they are, you must be either not been looking at it or being disingenuous. They are from what they call, I don't really call it left and right anymore, from a left organisation that says they're against racism.
The problem is, if you're there to protest against sexual assault and you're sharing a platform with somebody who's handing out racist leaflets...
What do you mean, sharing a platform?
If you are there
what are you talking
them.
about? So if I'm a mother... And let me tell you this, by the way, there's one of these hotels in Hull, where I'm from. Some fella there, he's just been sent to prison. Why? For sexually assaulting a mother in the middle of the night. So if I'm there as a woman and I stand on my street corner saying, do you know what, I want my children to be safe, I want to be safe as a woman, and then you're telling me that some potential wrong-uns that I know nothing about rock up, and then they start spreading their message, their truth, their concern. You're now saying that me sharing a platform, i.e. standing on a street corner, I'm in trouble. What are you talking about?
Well, there are also people who, and we don't know who they are, but they are attacking the police. There have been arrests made. Do you really want to be in that environment? Do you really feel safe in that environment?
Do you know what? I don't want to be in an environment, actually, where normal mothers who have a concern about the safety of their children are somehow getting tarred with this brush of being far right and all the rest of it. These reports that you're suggesting...
These are separate people, and we have to make that clear.
Yes, but you seem to be convinced of the fact that these are somehow neo-Nazi, far-right lunatics. I mean, I don't know what your evidence for that is, by the way.
I've read it in the papers.
Oh, well, then it must be true then, because I remember...
It's been reported by serious journalists.
Well,
so
I remember it
fair
being...
to run with that.
Well, I remember it being reported reported at the Southport attacks that it was far-right organised crime, and actually everyone with a brain cell could see that that was not true whatsoever. It was just concerned people. And actually, when the inquiry took place, it then became apparent that there was no organised far-right groups. There was no people being bussed in en masse from this organised far-right groups of people. It was nonsense.
But what you have got is local people, and you've got local and primarily working-class people that are fed up, and I think have very bravely taken a position, and it was very peaceful during the day until the situation where the counter-protesters come. Now, I want to state again, because some people don't like this, I'm for free speech. I'm a free speech absolutist, and I'm for free democratic protest. I think there are significant errors in judgment, and I think we've got a problem with two-tier policing. But for you to not recognise that the groups who are already saying they're turning up there are from, like, so-called anti-racist groups, and they're calling these protesters, families who are concerned about sexual assaults and what's happening in their community, they're calling them racist, and the press are repeating some of these things, the far right. They've done that. I'll give you an example about legitimate journalists. They've done that around ULEZ protesters, around people complaining about low-traffic neighbourhoods. They call them far right. The BBC has done it and had to retract it. This has become something that the British public is being smeared with. They've had enough of it.
I feel like we're getting a bit off-piste here, but the issue is there are people who are coming from outside to take part in this protest, and I do not think they have the best intentions at heart.
I know, but then what I found quite interesting is that you automatically regard them as far-right. I've just shown you there...
Well, I'm just saying, repeating what I've read in the papers.
I know, but I bet you've read it from the likes of Hope Not Hate, the same people,
no, I've read it
by
from
the
the
way.
Times and from the Guardian.
The same people, by the way, that during the height of tensions previously were putting out tweets suggesting that white people were acid-attacking Muslim women, a fact that was absolute nonsense, which, by the way, there was no police action ever taken against those kind of tweets. Anyway, we digress. We will return to this conversation after the break.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain. We like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
My eye this morning, because I say it all the time. You can't say gents at work. You're deemed to be not inclusive.
It's not inclusive. This comes from a tribunal which took place where a woman took umbrage at one of her bosses using the term in an email, dear gents. Well, you can't use the word gent. I mean, I wonder what it's like when you go to the gents now, whether you have to say going to the non-gender specific lavatories. It's a phrase. It shows that you're a bit old, they say, using the word gents. Now, I mean, I don't regard myself as old, although some may disagree with that.
This caught my eye as well, because one of your lovely presenters, who's on, I believe, at 6 o'clock, Michelle Dewberry, she very often says, you know, thank you, gents. I don't think she's
polite.
I don't think she's going to be changing. But it's when you look into this story, there was a little bit more to this than meets the eye, because this email was sent round by management in this insurance company, and one of the ladies who was on a list to be made redundant, along with men, used that email as evidence as to why there was discrimination going on. So there was a little bit more to this, and what the court said was that, you know, this was clumsy language, but this was managerial incompetence. And I don't think we should in any way take that as meaning it's got any wider.
So hang on, the court even said it's clumsy language?
The court said it was clumsy language.
I
mean, they shouldn't be using that language, but what I'm saying is I don't think this means that we have to all change our behaviour because of this one.
But what next, Anna?
Decision.
I've noticed a trend among, particularly in younger people, to call people guys, even women.
Yeah.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dewbs & Co. with me, Michelle Dewberry. I've got alongside me Alan Miller, the co-founder of Together Association, and Sebastian Selleck, the Labour commentator. Wendy, one of my viewers, she just got in touch and said, Michelle, why did the police not insist on all face coverings be removed in case of violent disorder? This is the thing, Wendy, that I don't understand. If you're going somewhere and your intentions are good, your intentions are pure, I don't know about you, whenever I've been anywhere in my life, I've never, ever pressed pause, thought to myself, you know what, I need to conceal my face up to here, pull a hat down over here, stick some... I've never, ever had that thought because I tend not to get up to no good. So this whole consent, and it's on both sides, by the way, both sets of people had people that were masked up among them, and it's completely and utterly wrong. Let's just look then, shall we, at some of the scenes from that protest. Take a watch.
Where are the Nazis?
I mean, you laughed out loud there, Alan Miller. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because everyone's a Nazi. Our grandparents who went and fought actual Nazis in Britain for the freedoms and liberties and rights and privacy that we've got now. You've got now juveniles. And if you can't see that's what people call the left, which the old SWP and banners and posters like that, then I'm not sure what's going on, Sebastian. You're very bright, but, you know, it's in front of us. But they're now calling people Nazis. Now, what they're saying, unite against the right, far right, these are mothers and families and locals. They might not speak as nicely as some people in Westminster. They're everyday people, and they represent the backbone of people in Britain who all think very similarly. And we've been smeared and called names for having these concerns. We've been called Islamophobic, anti-racist, being called racist, gammons, all the words, right, all the insults. And they come along and they call people Nazis. Right? And I think the thing is that it's so preposterous at this point, and they come along, and until those people came, there wasn't there wasn't violence. There was people protesting during the day, right, legitimately saying what their concerns were. Now, the question about the judgment of the chief is very important. We've seen a terrible success rate in crimes in Essex. We've seen of 69 rapes in one of the areas in Essex, one being solved, and 65 in another, one being solved. They've got 15% non-response in their phone calls. Across the board, they don't do very well. What they are very good at is bringing in people to shut people down speaking. They pursued a journalist, Alison Pearson at The Telegraph, for allegedly something on a post. It was very Orwellian. And in several instances, they're pursuing hate speech laws, right? But he's now telling us today he's very much in support of free speech. I think the British public have had enough of this. It's inspiring that women are leading the way about children and what's going on here. And look, if people decide they want to come and say, we don't agree with you saying all migrants are like this, or whatever their argument is, they're entirely, it's fine. I don't personally either think people should get stopped from actually wearing scarves or anything, because you start getting into the state saying what you can and can't wear.
Concealing your face?
You've got a problem. I would ask why they are concealing their faces, because if you believe in what you're doing, I think you should have a duty and a responsibility to stand by that, unless you're doing something underhand, But I think basically the public can see what's going on here, and what they're furious about, like with Southport, is that a few people that did some riots and crime, everybody that was concerned about those issues got them tarred with that brush. We got gaslit by the Prime Minister and by Yvette Cooper, and we were told that everyone is rioting, and anyone who's concerned about borders and migrants and hotels is racist, far-right, or Nazis. So I chuckle because it's become so outrageous, this, and I think it's time it stopped. And you can see now, thankfully, right, Keir Starmer's had to respond properly because he knows in the Red Wall and everywhere, working-class people are fed up with it. Angela Rayner's now saying it as well. And the thing is, we're going to see a lot of changes, but it's a real problem.
Yeah, look, I think there's some nuance here. It is completely wrong to say that everybody there is a Nazi, and I wouldn't condone what the people we saw there were shouting. The reality of it is there are some people who are local to Epping and they are legitimately concerned about a sexual assault that has taken place and they want to protest. That is completely fair. They should be allowed to do that. But there are other people who have more sinister aims here. We go back to the people who are handing out the racist leaflets. We go back to people who are members of the Homeland Party, which, lest we forget, splintered from a neo-Nazi party, who are part of the Facebook group, who are admins of the Facebook group who are organising this. So, yes, there are some legitimate people there, but there are also some very unsavoury characters, and we have to make that distinction. We can't put them all into one group.
Just unsavoury characters on one side?
I don't know about the other side. We haven't seen anything from them. We don't even know.
Well, you've just seen them on there. You've seen them on there.
They were shouting peacefully. We may not agree with what they're shouting, but that is their right to protest, which I know you will support. So until they start handing out racist leaflets, I don't have much to say about them.
So are you saying that the violence that happened there was just because some far-right, whoever they might be, a few far-right people have come along and they've just started violence with the people who are protesting against...
I don't know who caused the violence.
But you're a smart guy.
I don't even know if they're far-right.
It sounds like you're trying to pretend that.
No,
there's
I'm not.
only
Let's
one.
be really clear.
There's only one extremist organisation there. You're talking about the far-right. Or the far right only. You're not talking about the people that we were told were not chaperoned in, but then we found out were chaperoned in. So that's a lie. The public then get very cynical about, distrustful. Not policing without fear or favour, because often people who do this kind of protest are treated badly. Unite the Kingdom versus the Palestine demos. We see a very different set of treatments.
Look.
So my question to you is, why are you only talking about one set of extremists?
Because I will condemn anyone who turns up to a protest and is violent. Protest is legitimate. Protest is good for democracy. Riot is always bad.
So we've seen
I don't want to see people.
We've seen that
riots.
MPs have been attacked and targeted by people calling them Nazis, by people who call themselves these left-wing groups. Right? We've seen it in different parts of Britain, targeting people like Nigel Farage and others. You may hate Nigel Farage's views, you may love them. It's not really the point, if you believe in Voltaire, that he's an elected MP. And you've got people, and they're in extremist groups, right, that are shouting Nazis and also attacking him.
Yeah.
And so the point is, I just find it incredulous that we have this conversation. The family and locals, you've conceded, right? They got a right to, as it happens, everyone's
changed my mind on this.
Everyone's got a right to protest, right?
Correct.
But what you seem to be doing is trying to create a narrative that it's only some extremists on the far right because you've only read it in the papers. It's not. Everyone can see that it's a range of people that are there.
There is a range of people there, but most of them are peaceful and most of them are engaging in a legitimate process. What I'm concerned about are the reports of members of far-right parties handing out racist leaflets. That is not acceptable, whether you're at a protest or not. What I'm also concerned about is the violence. I don't know if these two things are connected. I'm not necessarily suggesting they are, but they're both deplorable.
Do you think that the Labour Party is... their decisions and policies inflaming tensions or de-escalating things?
I think this is a consequence of many, many years of neglect.
No, but I'm asking you about the current Labour government.
And what are you referring to specifically when you say about
Well, I'll tell you, for example, what I'm talking about. I'll say things like Keir Starmer immediately pretty much declaring people far right after the Southport riots. People have never forgotten that. More recently, Jess Phillips, the person that's supposed to be responsible for the safeguarding of women, literally being unable to bring herself to concede the point that actually Afghan men are multiple times more likely to be a sexual risk to women than what a British man would be. She literally wouldn't concede that point. That inflames things. For example, when people see hotels in Canary Wharf and people that, you know, you sit at home and all the rest of it, and you see and you hear Central London hotels, you have a look, you see swimming pools, jacuzzis, all those kind of things. These decisions inflame people at home.
Let's talk about that hotel, because I think this is getting really misreported. I had a look on TripAdvisor earlier at this hotel. Not what you'd expect if you thought of a hotel in Canary Wharf. Here's what some people have said. Furniture was very dated and damaged. The worst sleep we've had at any hotel. Pretty sure a prison bed would be more comfortable. Makes faulty towers look luxe. Not the kind of place that you would be going.
So let me respond to that. Because I can't bear this rebuttal. I think it's ridiculous. So many of these reviews now, when you actually look at them, the rating of this hotel has been decreased because very recently bookings in the last few days. People turned up for their bookings. They were turned away at the door. Their bookings, they got emails sent to them, basically cancelling their bookings with no explanation other than a large group.
Yeah.
So the ratings on things like TripAdvisor and other online things has decreased massively because of these 1-star reviews that have been passed out. This is a 4-star rated hotel.
Yes, so you're very right that people have left those
hotel.
reviews, and I've read those, but these reviews are from before. These are people who have stayed at the hotel and have had a terrible experience.
But you see, I find...
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
But this is what I mean. I was just about to say, I find this pushback. You are so out of touch, Sebastian, because my viewers that are sitting at home, they are struggling financially. You've got pensioners that literally had to wrap themselves up in sleeping bags, duvets, dressing gowns, you name it, in order to stay warm over the winter. You've got disabled people absolutely petrified that they're not going to be able to survive because their benefits are being cut. And all the while, we find out spiralling and escalating costs that are being put onto these migrant hotels and all the rest of it. The fact is, when you offer a hotel which has a swimming pool, a jacuzzi, whether or not some random tourist...
Where are you going?
Well, it's a very good idea.
I'll tell you, I wouldn't be putting them anywhere because they wouldn't be crossing the channel if I was in charge. I'll tell you that for free.
I mean, and then
but hang on, because I'm over my time. So just press pause. Press pause. We're going to come back to this. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield to find some warm weather during the next few days, it will be hot in Italy and Greece. Breezy for the Canaries as well as Madeira. It's also unusually breezy through parts of Spain and Portugal, with an area of intense thundery outbreaks through Mallorca and more especially Menorca. But it's southern Italy where we're going to see temperatures rise to unusually high values over the next few days and into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Look, a few of us have managed to see some sunshine today, but generally there's been a lot of cloud across the UK. Into this evening, though, we should start to see that cloud break up a touch more, and there will be some clearer spells developing. The showers that we've had around today as well, generally fading away for many of us, though lingering across the far north of Scotland. A few mist and fog patches are possible, but generally it's going to be a mild night. Temperatures ranging between 14 and 17 degrees Celsius as we start off Thursday morning. Those showers will still be in play tomorrow as well across the far north of Scotland, particularly the Northern Isles around the Moray Firth, tending to be on the light side, and they'll steadily move their way eastwards as we move throughout the day. Central southern areas of Scotland and Northern Ireland getting off to a drier start with some sunny spells poking through, and reasonably similar for Wales and western areas of England. But you will just notice this rain area in the far east, and that's going to slip its way across parts of East Anglia, down towards the home counties in London, and eventually parts of Sussex and Kent as well throughout the day. So fairly damp and wet one to come here. The brightest and sunniest of skies reserved for those further towards the west, and here it should be dry and pleasant. And quite warm in that sunshine as well. Temperatures peaking around 24, maybe 25 degrees Celsius in places, 20 to 22 for parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland. As we move into Friday, we are going to see an occluded front just slip its way into the far northwest of the UK, and so this will start to bring more in the way of outbreaks of rain for Scotland and Northern Ireland first thing. It's a fairly weak affair, and it will tend to turn quite light and patchy as it steadily moves into northern England and parts of Wales as well. A few scattered showers just following behind, but in a reversal of fortunes from Thursday, it's now the southeast that will see the more prolonged areas of sunshine on Friday. Temperatures here climbing towards the high 20s, dipping down a little bit more as we head into the weekend. Enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Drivers on the M61 slip road to the M60 southbound in Salford may face 10-minute delays. In Staffordshire, the A50 eastbound between the A522 and A518 at Toxeter East has delays until later. All lanes on the A47 eastbound in Norfolk between the A10 and A1122 are closed due to a collision. The M4 westbound at junction 41 Pentilla-Baglin is closed for maintenance with diversions. And on the trains, expect disruptions on cross-country and Grand Central services between York and Doncaster. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Hello everybody, how are you? How's your blood pressure doing at home tonight? I had so much to talk about, ladies and gents, but we've gone a little bit off-piste, and I hope you don't mind me indulging the conversation because I think it's a very important one to have. I've got Alan Miller, the co-founder of Together Association, alongside me, and I've got Sebastian Salek, the Labour commentator. Lots and lots of you are getting in touch. The point I was asking before the break is, how do we feel that the Labour government are faring in terms of the decisions that they're making, the optics around all of this? Because let me be clear, ladies and gents, I want the temperature to come down. I don't want escalation. I most certainly do not want riots. I do not want violence. I don't want any of those things. I am concerned, however, though, that the decisions being made are inflaming situations as opposed to de-escalating them. We've just been talking about a hotel before the break. Sebastian's pointing out to me that a few people that stayed there didn't like it very much. I mean, I didn't allow you to speak. I'm sorry, because I lost my temper. This is a hotel, by the way.
I know the Docklands really well. I know the Britannia Hotel. I had my first promotion company there. The idea that we're now going to look at its star rating on a report for people that are being put into hotels when we don't have social housing for people that are here. We've got a cost of living crisis that, by the way, this government said it was going to address, and instead is just attacking farmers and citizens and the public, and things are getting worse, not better. And the boats are getting worse, not better, even though Keir Starmer finally now is trying to pretend that he's having an impact on it. And we've got locals that are fed up with it and they're not going to have it anymore. And I think the question about to what extent this creates a tinderbox is really important. With Southport, we saw families booing Keir Starmer when he turned up. This wasn't the far right or neo-Nazis. You're not allowed to ask a question when someone stabs lots of children. Is this different to normal crime? In case you're a far right or a Nazi, the big crime with the elite today seems to be, are you Islamophobic or the far right? I've got to say, I came from a background of being an anti-racist, right, of doing back in the days when you had fights with people, when it really counted, and encouraging people to take a stand against racism. Now what we're seeing is a situation where we're being gaslit by Keir Starmer, by Yvette Cooper, the Home Office, the police, and everyone with this DEI approach, diversity, equity, inclusion, the idea that if you raise questions about borders, integration, migrants in hotels, Islamism, that somehow you're far right and you're racist and you're the problem, you're the one who has to be dealt with. I just got to say, you're in Waltham Forest, right? Walthamstow has had the same problem. It's had an issue since 2022, 2 hotels, 400 people had to be moved. There were protests there. By the way, we'll come on to this, but Walthamstow, Waltham Forest also in the red on things. We've just seen in South Norfolk as well. This is not just happening here. It's not just places like Southport and elsewhere, and Epping. In Diss, people shouting, we want our country back. Now, maybe Emily Thornberry and others in Labour in Islington would say, white van man, far right. These are ordinary people in Britain that are concerned about our values, our way of life and integration, and that there are people that are not respecting that, and our elite has contempt for them, and it's dangerous and it's got to stop.
I think you're conflating a lot of issues, and to an extent I agree with you, because you're right to say that if you express concern over immigration, that does not mean you're Islamophobic, that does not mean you're far right. The problem is there are some people who are both. But that doesn't account for the fact that these people can be in completely separate camps. What I think is being overlooked here is that this government is getting tough on immigration. We saw the white paper come out. Oh. It's getting harder to move here. It's getting harder to hire cheap labour from abroad. It's getting much faster processing of the asylum claims. And that's what ultimately matters. You can talk about small boats all you like. And I get why. It's visual. You can see it. It's emotive. But at the end of the day, what really matters is how fast are we processing those claims, deciding whether they can stay or whether they need to go back.
Sebastian, if they was getting tough on immigration, why the other day they have Labour Party said all this rhetoric about, you know, we're going to clamp down on illegal work in the likes of Deliveroo and all these food companies. the Home Office decided it wouldn't share with these companies the address details of the hotels, the asylum hotels, for fear of the safety of the people living in there. There was a huge outcry, a public outcry against that. Then today, you've got Keir Starmer giving it the big I am on Twitter, telling us all how he is now sharing all of this data with these food companies because he's getting tough on immigration. It is so infuriating because he's not getting tough on immigration, because if he was, that data would have been handed over almost instantly to those companies. It wasn't. It's a U-turn because of public pressure.
So help me understand it. Do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea that the government is sharing this information with food delivery companies?
I think it's absolutely vital that those companies... What do you mean?
No, sorry, go on.
No. So I think it's absolutely vital that information is being shared.
Brilliant. Then we agree.
We agree on what?
That information has to be shared.
Yes, but the Labour Party policy, the Home Office said that they wouldn't.
But they have. Never mind what they say.
Right, hold on.
They've literally
Sebastian,
shared this information with the food delivery companies, which is really important.
Why?
Why have they shared the information?
Why have they now shared the information?
I don't know. I don't work for the Home Office. I can't tell you why they haven't done it yet, but the point is they have done it now.
Sebastian...
And you're telling me that that's a good idea, so we're agreeing with each other.
Sebastian, please. I mean, I'm trying my very best to be sensible here. The Home Office categorically said that they would not share the data. That was their policy, full stop. So that was the Labour government's policy, full stop. There is no ifs, buts or maybes. It was a full stop. That then came out into the public domain and there was a significant public backlash to that. So then the Labour Party U-turned. The point I'm trying to put to you is if what you're suggesting is true and the Labour Party, we're so tough, we're going to get to grips with all of this, their first starting point would be to share that data.
What happened with the previous government?
I don't care. I couldn't care less about the previous government.
Because is that not the position they inherited when they came in?
Right.
They've now changed that to be stricter on the food delivery companies, which frankly do need to step up.
Oh, Sebastian. Right, this government have been in power well over a year now. You could grow an entire human being and then some in this duration of time. Please, I mean, maybe you even think this. You must understand that when the Labour Party want people to believe that they're tough on immigration, their actions do not complement their rhetoric.
So
you must understand that, surely.
So record deportations, that doesn't count for anything?
Record deportations, are the majority of which are voluntary.
Who cares? No. They're going.
Well,
the point is we have to move
them. If I'm paying some random guy that was illegally here in the first place to go home, I don't appreciate this current government gaslighting people and making out that they are so tough on immigration that they have deported this fella. No, they have not. They've paid the fella who wanted to go back anyway.
Goodness me. What would you do?
I think what we need to do is we need to get real about border protection.
Well, I'll tell you what one of the suggestions, because don't get me started on what I would do. It'll make your hair curl, Sebastian, I can tell you that. But one of the suggestions was digital ID. Apparently that's the answer to some of these words. Let's get into that after the break.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dewbs anchor Alan Miller and Sebastian Selleck alongside me. Christina's got in touch and said, Michelle, I'm 75 and my toy boy husband is 70. We're not hard up, but we're definitely not well off. We haven't had a holiday in 20 years and we're carers for my mum, who's 99 years old. She said she can tell me one thing she would love, and they would love a single night in a 4 or even a 3-star hotel, she says. But she recognises it's probably not going to happen for her, you see, and herein lies the problem. Look, one of the solutions, though, apparently, is digital ID cards to all of this.
Hilarious, Michelle. A bit like they said during lockdowns that vaccine passports, Freedom Day will be the big solution. We just had 4 years since then. And, of course, it had nothing to do with it whatsoever. What it had to do is Tony Blair's great idea. When you've got a problem or an issue, let's have digital ID. Churchill stopped it in 1952, but we've got technocrats that are obsessed with tracking, surveying, nudging, coercing and using a platform of digital ID to do it. On the one hand, Labour Together, interesting name, Labour Together put forward the idea of a brick card, but at the same time, the government's pushing the Gov UK digital wallet. Central bank digital currency, the CEO has said of the Bank of International Settlements, we can track every transaction. We need cash, we need autonomy, we need privacy. The attacks on the private sphere are significant. We've got government that can't build reservoirs, can't build nuclear, can't resolve issues, but is obsessed with surveying and tracking us, with saying we're going to have more banning orders on protests, more speech codes. Islamophobia they're pushing the idea of, but yet when it comes to freedom and privacy and autonomy, they're against it. We've seen it with debanking, we've seen it with the Online Safety Act, with hate speech allegedly and non-crime hate incidents, and the idea, like we've seen not only in Australia with GoFundMe and Trudeau taking those bank accounts, but in Britain, where people are being targeted by spies, the Rapid Response Unit, the Counter-Disinformation Unit, based on their views during lockdown in the last 5 years, what they thought about jabs, mandatory jabs, all of which was underpinned by digital ID. The idea it's going to stop illegal immigration or fraud or crime is preposterous. What it will do is it will survey us all much more. That's why Together has got a campaign for a digital Bill of Rights.
So I'll put you down as a maybe then when it comes to digital ID. Sebastian, your thoughts?
It's bizarre that we live in this country that is so old that the state has just been built on top of and on top of, that we have this cranky house of a state where nothing can talk to each other. And if we had a consistent way of checking people's IDs, we could buy houses or rent more easily. We could show our identity more easily. And, yeah, we could see who should and shouldn't be here. So it's a way of unifying things and making sure that the state can talk to itself rather than what we see at the moment, which is, my God, showing a council tax bill to prove you're someone to someone else just seems like something from the 19th century.
Sebastian's going to be a poster child for Labour. You can see he's very articulate and very good looking. The problem is, Sebastian, when you say things like these technocrats do that are so nice and reasonable, is we got a situation where we've seen draconian measures. People in prison for social media posts. We've seen that they're always being used to restrict and shut down, and we need to challenge it. No more digital ID.
Well, there you go. Look, what a nice way to end the programme, with the panellists complimenting each other on how handsome they are. That doesn't usually happen. There you go, ladies and gents. I tell you, Sebastian, you've made me want to go for a lay down in a darkened room. That's exactly what I will be doing tonight, ladies and gents. Goodness gracious me, we do half pick 'em, don't we? Anyway, very nice to have you, Sebastian. Thank you, Alan. Nice to see you too. Have yourselves a wonderful night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Night.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and very good evening to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Look, a few of us have managed to see some sunshine today, but generally there's been a lot of cloud across the UK. Into this evening, though, we should start to see that cloud break up a touch more, and there will be some clearer spells developing. The showers that we've had around today as well, generally fading away for many of us, though lingering across the far north of Scotland. A few mist and fog patches are possible, but generally it's going to be a mild night. Temperatures ranging between 14 and 17 degrees Celsius as we start off Thursday morning. Those showers will still be in play tomorrow as well across the far north of Scotland, particularly the Northern Isles around the Moray Firth, tending to be on the light side, and they'll steadily move their way eastwards as we move throughout the day. Central southern areas of Scotland and Northern Ireland getting off to a drier start with some sunny spells poking through, and reasonably similar for Wales and western areas of England. But you will just notice this rain area in the far east, and that's going to slip its way across parts of East Anglia, down towards the home counties in London, and eventually parts of Sussex and Kent as well throughout the day. So fairly damp and wet one to come here. The brightest and sunniest of skies reserved for those further towards the west, and here it should be dry and pleasant. And quite warm in that sunshine as well. Temperatures peaking around 24, maybe 25 degrees Celsius in places, 20 to 22 for parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland. As we move into Friday, we are going to see an occluded front just slip its way into the far northwest of the UK, and so this will start to bring more in the way of outbreaks of rain for Scotland and Northern Ireland first thing. It's a fairly weak affair, and it will tend to turn quite light and patchy as it steadily moves into northern England and parts of Wales as well. A few scattered showers just following behind, but in a reversal of fortunes from Thursday, it's now the southeast that will see the more prolonged areas of sunshine on Friday. Temperatures here climbing towards the high 20s, dipping down a little bit more as we head into the weekend. Enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. M4 westbound drivers face junction 41 Pentila closures due to surveying. Norfolk's A47 eastbound is blocked between the A10 and A1122 due to a collision, with traffic resuming between 9:45 and 10 tonight. On the M69 northbound in Leicestershire, traffic is disrupted between junction 1 and the M1 due to a broken down vehicle. In Hampshire, a collision on the M3 westbound between junctions 9 and 11 causes 50-minute delays with lane closures. And on the trains, Hull trains have a reduced service due to industrial action. And there is disruption on the London Overground between Richmond and Stratford. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.